Well, good morning. Happy Monday to you. I've missed you. I promise I've missed you. My name is Tim Harris. It's 10 o'clock. It's time for 10 with Tim. We took about 2 weeks off because I have been camp pastor at Crossings Camp with students. I love that so much. If any of you are new because you met me at camp and are joining me now for 10 with Tim, God bless you. That's awesome. Stay with us and we'll get you all the way through the Word of God, all right? We go verse by verse every day, Monday through Friday. We do 10 minutes a day and we just sort of study the Word together, and it's one of the joys of my life. So like I say, I really did miss it. It throws my rhythm off so much because this has become so much a part of my day. So anyway, I'm glad to start this week in the Word with you. I'm glad to start this new Monday with you. And I'm glad to be in Numbers chapter 16. It's a long chapter, so we're just doing verses 1 to 35 today. It's a great chapter. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's amazing. All right. This is typically what's called Korah's rebellion. Korah is a Kohathite Levite. Remember, those are the guys that carry the most sacred objects. I mean, they have the most access to holiness. He's a Levite, not a priest, but he is one of those ministers who is allowed to handle the most sacred holy objects. So he is definitely a person of spiritual position and privilege among the people of God. Korah is kind of the one who leads this rebellion. And again, he's a Levite, he's a Korathite. Now, Kohathite, I say that right? Korah is a Kohathite. Whatever. All right. He kind of buddies up with two other guys, Dathan and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram are Reubenites, which means they're not Levites. They are from the tribe of Reuben. So these are secular leaders, not religious leaders. And then with them, there's 250 other leaders of the community. So you have this rebellion, but it's got multiple layers here. You have a religious rebellion, kind of, the religious pride represented by Korah. You have political dissatisfaction led by Dathan and Abiram. And then you just have public opinion. 250 other leaders who are dissatisfied kind of jump into this rebellion. So this is how it starts. They come up against Moses and Aaron saying, "You've gone too far. Who do you think you are? Aren't we all holy? Aren't we all God's people? Well, we're all God's people. Who do you think you are?" All right. Now, this sounds democratic. It sounds like, Korah and Dathan and Abiram are standing up for the people, but they're not in it for the people. They're in it for themselves. Make no mistake, this is just ambition. Religious ambition on Korah's part, a political ambition on Dathan and Abiram's part, and then 250 other leaders who were just in for the protest, right? So again, it's just really, really interesting, sad, crazy that this rebellion is raised. Verses 1, 2, and 3. What right do you have to act like you're the only one, the greater than the rest of us? They're saying to Moses. They're saying to Moses, "Who do you think you are?" Moses. It's so insane. So Moses, verse 4, Moses' first response is to fall face down on the ground. That's prayer, you all. That's prayer. His first instinct is to take a position of actual vulnerability in front of the people. But it is his instinct is to draw near to God. Man, I want that instinct. My first instinct would be to punch Korah in the throat, I'd be coming back like, "You want it? You can have it. You can take this whole mess. I will retire." If I were Moses, I'm telling you, I'd just be saying, "I'm done. I'm done. I am so done with you people," But gosh, Moses, and sometimes Moses is done. But in the moments when it counts, man, I'm telling you, he goes straight to God. So he falls flat on his face, goes straight to God. And then Moses stands up and says, "All right, let the Lord show who belongs to him. Let the Lord show us who he wants in leadership." So again, for Moses, this isn't politics. It's purpose. It's the presence of God, but it is not politics. And his position is not something that he feels like he needs to grasp or protect. Listen, I feel like God called me into this, and if I'm wrong, let God demonstrate who's right and who's wrong here. You just gotta love Moses here. Verse 11. By the way, you're revolting against the Lord here. You're the ones who've gone too far. We will see. And it's the Lord that you and your followers are really revolting against. So at this point, Moses tries to reason with Dathan and Abiram. Again, very different motivations. It's the same rebellion. It's like all these people all got their own gripe and they just come together. It's a loose coalition. They don't really have common interests other than in trying at this point to grasp power, to revolt against Moses and Aaron. That's all that they're really doing. So in verse 12, Moses summons Dathan and Abiram, who refuse to come, even though they're summoned, just sort of showing their defiance. Notice their response here. Basically, Moses, you're a failure. You didn't lead us to a land of milk and honey, and you didn't lead us to another land. I mean, it's just like, these are guys. I mean, they're part of the generation that refused to go into the promised land, like you wouldn't go. Like Moses took you right to the threshold, and you wouldn't go in. And now they're saying, "Well, Moses, I don't think you led us to a land of milk and honey like you said you would." I mean, oh my goodness, like I say, punch them in the throat. Punch them in the throat. You haven't given us a new homeland. You're trying to fool people. You're trying to act like some kind of leader. You ain't led us nowhere. I mean, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Just the nerve, just to twist truth. To slander in that way. I don't think you led us to a land of milk and honey. Well, I think he did, but anyway, so Moses becomes very angry and goes to the Lord and says, Lord, I haven't done anything to these people. I haven't even taken a donkey from them. I mean, I haven't hurt anybody. Moses at this point, again, just goes back to God. All the things he liked to say to Korah, and Dathan and Abiram, he says to the Lord. So Moses calls for this showdown. All right, all of you, just come on down. Come on down. You bring your incense burners. We'll all go into God's presence, and we'll just see whom God accepts. We'll see whom God affirms. Let God demonstrate. Let God show us. And so that was the plan. It's sort of a showdown that is to determine whom God accepts. In that moment of showdown, the Lord says to Moses, "Get away from those guys. I'm about to rain hell down on them. So get away from them. Tell everybody else to get away from them, because anybody standing next to them is about to be air fried." So Moses rushes to the people. That's what he does. Get away from them. Get away from them. Quick, get away from them. Get away from their tents. So Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram come out to the tents with their wives and their children. Moses said, "This is how you're going to know." He said, if they die of old age, then that's nothing. But let something happen that everybody will just stand here and say, "Well, that had to be the Lord." And so the ground opens up and swallows them, and then closes back. It's just like they go down alive into the grave. Moses, that's what Moses called for, and that's exactly what happens. He'd hardly finished speaking the words before the ground split open and swallowed them up. At that point, the people around, they flee, all of that, but eventually fire from heaven comes down and destroys all the other 250 men who were part of that rebellion. At this point, they're trying to disappear into the crowd and act like they didn't mean it, but the Lord seeks them out and destroys them. We'll stop right there, verse 35. We'll just stop right there. A couple of things, though, that I want to say. First off, as a pastor, as I've been in church life my whole life, I'm not perfect at all, and I understand how sometimes rebellion wears church clothes. Sometimes it does. Man, in church life, I've seen these kinds of individuals. I've seen these kinds of uprisings. No pastor's perfect, and Lord knows I'm not perfect. But this is just an example of how, like I say, sin, rebellion, pride, ambition, it puts on church clothes and comes to church and tries to take over things. Lots of people, move toward church leadership just because they want to run something, because they want to be in charge of something. I don't even know if they see that in themselves, but it's obvious that some people, even pastors, are drawn to the pastorate because they feel like they get to be in charge, they get to be in control. Sometimes, and that kind of power hunger, it puts on church clothes, y'all. There's just no doubt about it. I like how God protects his purposes, but not anybody's personal platform. Notice how Moses is like, all right, Moses never defends himself with the people. He doesn't hit right back at him. He just says, all right, let God decide, And truly, we can all trust God to uphold what God establishes. And if I have, as a leader, have gotten off the path, then we have to trust God to uphold what He purposes. So if I'm a leader who is off track, then what I do will fail. And again, God will uphold what His purposes and what His intentions are. God will sustain what He establishes. And then, if you really do want God, if you want God to use you, you don't grasp for power. You don't nominate yourself, to take over the church. You don't nominate yourself to take over the priesthood as Korah does. If you want God to use you, you just draw near to God in humility. You just draw near to God. Moses just stays near to God, and God uses him. And if you want God to use you, just draw near to God and don't grasp and don't promote yourself and don't, like I say, try to climb across everybody else just to see that you make the spotlight. This is what Korah and Dathan and Abiram do, and God judges them harshly. So like I say, be really careful, all of us, because sometimes that kind of ambition, that kind of pride, it puts on church clothes and comes in and tries to assert itself, and God will judge harshly those who are trying to take over what He has established. We'll pick up right here tomorrow with verses 36 to 50, all right? I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad you're back. Let's hit it again tomorrow, y'all, 10 o'clock, Lord willing, for 10 with Tim. I love you guys. I got a funeral today, so pray for me. Pray for the family of Jerry Wilson, Mike Wilson, one of my friends. His father will be laid to rest today. We'll do that memorial service later. So pray for me today, and I'll see you in the morning, Lord willing, 10 o'clock for 10 with Tim.